we create opportunities. The world needs problem solvers, leaders, innovators. Are you ready to step up? The future is calling. Will you answer? Real skills, real impact, real superpowers, real superheroes.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. I'm Ileana Sutton. I'm the CEO and founder of AHA Workforce Education Solutions. I am so blessed today to be able to have this conversation with you guys on our platform. Yes, a little bit emotional for me because I am a leader, I am transparent, but I am so happy just to be able to talk about it, right? So, this conversation today, we're going to talk about it. And how I'm going to do it is I'm going to have our friend ChatGPT join us on a live platform so they can go ahead and address all those questions that we might have. I hope that you guys are joining on LinkedIn as well. I'll try to keep up with those questions as they come. And so let's just get started. So, I'm a business leader and things kind of came down the pipeline harder than we expected in January. I mean, if you're out there listening, it's because you're curious and you want to know and you want to hopefully learn what other people out there are doing with ChatGPT. And so I hope that I can bring some light into what is happening. And I want to kind of bring someone on the stage. I hope you guys can see ChatGPT. I asked ChatGPT to come in and introduce themselves. So I'm basically the narrator for today. So here it goes. This is coming from ChatGPT. Ladies and gentlemen, imagine the world where information is at its fingertips. Creative knows no bounds, and innovation is your constant companion. I am ChatGPT, your AI powered ally designed to transform the way you work, learn, and lead. So, basic introduction, it's pretty accurate. It's about 98%. I've been rocking with ChatGPT since it started as well, and I'm now at a 4.0, and I utilize it daily, logistically, strategically, for grant writing, for emails, for personal, for recipes. Now that I'm a caretaker this year, trying to be a chef as well. So there's a lot of things that ChatGPT can do. But I wanted you guys just to kind of give you an idea of what it's capable of doing. You got to trust sometimes, right? You got to learn how to utilize things that's going to work best for you. So I hope this conversation continues to inspire and empower you to push forward. If it's not for you, pass this information along. StreamYard is not necessarily the concept new, but having my face streamed on a video, not editing raw, that's what I'm about. So let's get started. So, a glimpse into ChatGPT was born from an open AI dedication to advancing artificial intelligence. I have evolved through interactions to become a versatile language model capable of understanding and generating human like text. My milestones since my inception, I'm in, inception, I'm engaged with millions worldwide, assisting in tasks ranging from drafting emails to brainstorming businesses strategies. As of February 2025, I have over 4 million weekly active users, reflecting the growing integration of AI into daily life. 40 million weekly active users. I'm only just one of those people. That's it. So 40 million people are already starting to actively use this. And like it says, it's telling you, I am ChatGPT. I am helping everyone in daily life. What else does it do? How does it collaborate? Innovation partners. Together we can explore uncharted territories. Leverage AI to drive creatively and efficiency in your projects. Continuous learning. As I learn from interactions, I adapt to better serve your unique needs, ensuring our collaboration remains dynamic and impactful. Let's embark in a journey together, harnessing the power of AI to illuminate new paths and achieve extraordinary outcomes. This came from the mind of ChatGPT when I asked it to please introduce yourself as common but as powerful and as innovative as you can on my level, right? Because I'm not going to fluff that ChatGPT is perfect because it's not at 100%. But compared to all those others out there that I believe now there's one, two, maybe three new platforms that are similar to ChatGPT, ChatGPT continues to lead the way. And for me to have a conversation such as the one that we're about to jump into, which is DEI, why not let someone that knows and can pull research, that can go into deep research on all those questions that we might have? So I'm live, so I'm going to go ahead and just type in a basic question. What is DEI? Policy. And this is a claimer. You don't have to be a perfect speller. You don't have to know grammar. It understands the most minimal typing that you can. If you want to type with one finger, want to be that superhero, it captures what you want. What is DEI policy? Summarize in basic and short terms. Let's see what it does. So as you can see, the little bubbles, it's navigating through all of those researches out there. Everything that it might possibly be able to summarize and what it is that we're talking about, it's going to give us the best as it can. And if I can't understand it, that means that I need to generate what I call a more common term explanation. So let's just give it a shot and see what it said. The diversity, equality, and inclusion policy, which is known as the DEI, is an official document that outlines the organization's commitment to fostering a diverse, fair, and inclusion workplace. It details principal goals and actionable steps to ensure all employees feel valued and have equal opportunities, regardless of the background or identity. In recent times, DEI policies have faced changes. Notably, in January 2025, we know all our president signed an executive order aiming to dismantle federal DEI programs, directing agencies to terminate diverse related initiatives and remove references from DUI principles from grants and contracts. Despite these challenges, many organizations continue to hold DEI policies, recognizing their importance in promoting fairness and enhancing organization performance. It even gives us a little video that if we were to go into it, we can watch it. But those are, it's here, what is DEI policy? Looks like it's the YouTube channel as well. And you guys can go ahead and look it up and read because everything is there for your explanation, right? I mean, this was a harsh one. This means that all of the federal grants that were out there that were working on behalf of you know, uh, um, a nonprofit umbrella and all of your funding came from that portal, wow. For any organization that has a big blanket and serving communities of diversity, of inclusion, whatever, if you had that title, if you had that responsibility, could you imagine all, I mean, we imagine it because we're seeing it on the media, right? We're seeing it publicly. So it it but unless you're walking in their shoes, you can't really imagine all those feelings that you get unless you've been in a similar situation where you went to work one day and then you got an email, hey, I need to see you upstairs. Here's your walking papers, right? I've experienced that personally, right? I didn't get security checked or escorted by a security of the organization that I was at because they stayed, remained ethical with me as best as they could. But there's a lot of changes that are occurring, and we want to make sure that we know exactly what it is that we're talking about as well. And I want to say just hello to everyone that's hanging in there and watching me kind of do my magic on ChatGPT. So let's move on. I'm going to ask it, how did these changes affect our workforce? No, I'm going to do better. How did our changes affect our business, nope, our businesses who are government funding? And remember, you can't judge the spelling because ChatGPT doesn't judge my spelling as well. So let's just ask it. How did these changes affect our business government? I'm not making this up. It is pulling it directly from all of those big guru medias as well, because it's about 96, 97, maybe even 98% accurate as well. So, recent executive orders issued by our president have significantly implicated for business reliant on government funding, particularly concerning diversity, right? I just shared that with you guys. Like, if you are anywhere involved in that, you are going to be effective for, women and minorities. I mean, I'm a woman. It's affected me in many ways. But for me, the DEI initiative, I've known about it. I've been in the business world, you guys, for about 28 years. So when people say, DEI has allowed me to walk through those doors because of who I am, and maybe because you need that protocol or that number, I've been there. I've also been in the spot where it didn't work, where so what? So what that merit base that you got what it takes, but guess what? Because our policies say X, Y, and Z, I can't bring you in. But then, I also hear stories of colleagues out there who've shared with me the good and the bad of the ugly. So I'm blessed to be able to be here as a Hispanic businesswoman owner who sees nothing but trying to figure out how are we going to get past this? How are we going to all create solutions in order to move forward. I was caught up as well. And I say caught up because as a business owner, you gotta put those emotions at the door. Check those emotions out. I made a video, and told everyone that was something I learned when I was a younging, which I'm not a younging anymore. I got my knees, that definitely will vouch for that as well. And so things don't get easier as a business leader. You always have to be prepared to think outside of the box. If you need to lock yourself in a closet still today, if you need to go and take a boxing exercise, if you need to dance, if you need to go relax on those green herbs that are out there, whatever it is you got to do to realign yourself with all of these things that we know now going into March that aren't going to change. Things are going to get tougher, right? I mean, we want to make sure that everyone understands that it's a change of government policy. You must be creative and come up with creative solutions to make your team still feel comfortable, right? Because being an employer or a leader, you got to stop and you got to listen. Are you listening to your team? Are you willing to restaff your whole corporation? If you are, kudos to you. But you're still going to need to figure out a, a persona, a solution to your marketing. Either way you land. If you are a nonprofit or you were receiving federal funding and all your materials, let's say, are now like, what do we do? Even for the apprenticeship, .gov folks, right? There was a couple of little things that came into the apprenticeship world. One is definitely going to be the marketing, the campaign. How do we continue to push forward? At AHA, I've always believed in being able to openly talk to everyone at one time. I've never been the one that liked it to feel isolated. Even in my own language, in my own culture, in environments where I might not feel comfortable. I don't like to just be addressed because I'm the color of my skin or because I possibly might speak the language that you might need help in that moment of time as well. So, let's just get asking questions, all right? So, how can a small oops, business take charge of these changes? Because I'm about taking charge. I'm not going to ask it. I wanted to know that we need to wrap our hands around this. And what are we going to do, right? How can a small business take charge of these changes? Here we're going to go. It's going to give you certain things that you should follow. Not that you have to follow, but it's telling you from a AI application that has me not saying no, you can't go and search this information. It's giving you strategically information for those that don't even think strategically, right? Coming up with a plan. What is your next stepping stone? Your business plan, whatever it is, what you want to call it, this can give you more things that you probably even thought about that you can do. So let's just go, right? So we're going to know that we're going to review and revise DII policies, conduct a comprehensive audit, examine your current DEI in activities, to identify elements that may conflict with new federal guidelines. Focus on practices that could be perceived as preferential treatment based on demographics. So, as a business leader, strategic, human resource, any kind of business leader, you gotta stop. Regardless on how you're feeling, you gotta audit. You gotta audit yourself. And if you're working with other collaborators that are part of your team, you're gonna have to audit them as well. And yes, you're gonna have to reamp what it is that you're doing. There's nothing in this policy that says that you're going to have to stop if you're a business leader. And I'm focusing on our business leaders, right? The workforce area is huge, but without businesses that continue to lead the way, our workforce is even going to suffer more than it is already occurring in front of all of us. Aligning with metric based standards. Metric based, SHRM, HR, merit based. Everyone has their merit based. Joint commission in HR, government standards if you're working in government, financial industries have their own merit based system, realtors have their own base system, marketers have their own bear system, small businesses. You can talk to me, talk to Daisy, talk to James, talk to Frank, all of us who are LLC owners have a different merit based standard, but it meets with our journey. And we're remaining compliant because we're continuing to think outside of the box. And if you're not a real big outside of the box, and I get it, not everyone can go to bed, have a conversation, dream about it, envision it, and boom, make it work, right? I get it, but there's no need for us to stop and come up with us conversating about it and not seeing us move forward. Our government portals have government money sitting there for service-based companies, right? Sometimes our smaller companies need collaboration from the bigger organizations out there in order for us to be successful. Some of us get lucky because we're so on top of everything that's going on. We can apply for yourselves. And it doesn't take a lot of genius per se to read over your grants and what you need, but you definitely need either an AI app such as ChatGPT or a grant writer that's going to help you adjust the verbiage, make it sound like it's human, because it's you don't just get on ChatGPT and ask it one question and think that it's going to answer that one question the way that you need it to be answered. Sometimes, especially if you're new, it's like a relationship. Unfortunately, it is what it is. You're putting information on your writing abilities, your thought processes, and it's capturing you into this big AI world. So, yes, we're going to just go back a little bit. No social security numbers, no date of birth, no bank account numbers, nothing that you wouldn't give someone over the phone if they called you and they're asking, "Hey, Marianne, your packet got lost. Can you verify your social security number for your banking information?" Not, right? So none of that are you going to enter in it. But eventually it's going to catch your style and it's going to allow you to feel a little bit more comfortable in utilizing it for merit based. What if you never created a policy that was merit based, you guys? Like how are you going to go how are you going to create a merit base, right? So I'm just going to put here, copy. We're going to ensure compliance with federal regulations. If you know me and if you've been following me, I've kind of been groomed in the government policy standards. I freshly came into the government DOL apprenticeship world back at the end of 2018. And I was taken under the wing of three major Department of Labor leaders, even currently, one serving as director in Texas, and two are serving still in the state of Arkansas. And from there, I learned the Department of Labor apprenticeship guidelines. But before then, I was blessed to be in the hospital arena where federal guidelines, you need to know them. You need to know Joint Commission. You need to know a little bit about everything. And I started in human resources, which that of course brings you a whole nother skill of learning all those guidelines by a great gentleman named Steve Percival that I gave a shout out last week because he literally stood by leading by those standards. If you can't see the policy, if I can't read it, and if you've done something that is not what this policy says, then you're going to have to be written up. And to have that power to know that there were guidelines and all of the visions that I was having in education training, all the way from talking about the Department of Labor apprenticeship, structure, how it works, the components, all the way to talking about interpreting compliance. All of that came from me learning back in the day and reading. And with ChatGPT, it excels for me to know what I know in my brain to be able to ask ChatGPT to do whatever it is I need to do following those guidelines. So, certificate obligations. If your federal contractors, be prepared to be certified that your DEI programs do not involve legal discrimination and mandated by recent directives. What does that really mean? That means just like an IRS, that means just like an IRS audit, right? If you're a business, you should be prepared for any kind of audit. And the audits, the audit, you need to have the documentation. I learned that in the medical field. You got to document. If it ain't documented, you're not compliant. You might get shut down by Joint Commission, so on and so on. So I learned documentation right? How do you document? Well, you're going to document by creating a true policy. Use a lawyer.com or an organization that's only going to charge you a couple of dollars a month for you to be able to come up with some kind of policies or standards that meet those guidelines. And then make sure that someone in your team or someone outside of your team really reads over it just to make sure that you're being fair and that you haven't put your feelings in this little part or maybe, oh, I didn't see it that way, Ileana, right? So you got to make sure that you're going to have something, and then you're going to have to post electronically. Like Last year, our apprenticeship.gov folks sent out a link and needed us to put on our platforms that we were utilizing a, a diversity training video and that everyone had to go through this video of inclusion, da 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 this, da 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 that. So it's going to be similar to that, right? I mean, even in the apprenticeship world, there's going to be things that are going to have to align as well. And you're going to seek legal counsel because if you don't have a go to legal counsel, and I'm not going to say your best friend that you went to college and you can have a side conversation and she might give you just a little bit, just you need someone that's going to treat you, friend or not, is going to be able to detach yourself from the relationship, put on her lawyer hat and say, Ileana, I think this. Ileana, not think you're needing to change X, Y, and Z. Because if you have an expert on your team, them telling you this is the changes that need to be done are received differently than from someone coming down the pipeline and telling you, you got to change this because X, Y, and Z, right? And I hope everyone can resonate in the messages that we're going through. You're going to communicate transparently with employees. You're going to have to inform eventually your employees, what does that mean? If you're in an organization, please don't take this the wrong way. If you're in an organization that has been employed by diversity people, all the way from the manufacturers to the big 500 corporations to our government, we already see what it is for someone to receive not the email, but the notice of sudden change, right? And if it's not going to be such a sudden change in your organization, then move forward and talk about it in your team meetings. Listen to other people on what is happening. Because even if you are standing in between what you're going to do or not to do, your staff needs to know ahead of time so they can prepare themselves and decide what they want to do, not what Mary or Sue or Tom are doing in this decision. But what does Ileana Sutton want to do as a leader with these changes? Do I say, okay, I'm done, I can't do this? Or does Ileana do what she does best and think outside of the box, dream, think about it, pray about it, use my AI uh, expertise that I have and do what I do best, and that's share. And this is about sharing the experiences together, being able to support, because I don't know about any organization other than the ones that are appearing on our government platform. I would not think that a lot of our 500 Fortune companies would send a resignation notice to all of their team members. And I know it has happened per department, but I'm talking about in a whole. Our economy will eventually slow down. And if we're not talking about political, which I don't like to talk about political stands, I like to talk about the changes and how we're going to address them and how we're going to move forward together collaboratively and not leave this chat GPT to the side. Because if you are struggling and trying to figure out, what does a support channel even look like for my organization? Go on ChatGPT. It's free subscription still. Yes, you can get paid subscriptions like I have in order for me to enhance a little bit more of the things that I do and for it not to block me because I'm a busybody, right? But utilize it because it tells you you're going to monitor ongoing development, meaning that unfortunately, if you've turned off your TV or you've stopped listening to your morning news on what's happening, you're going to have to turn it on, my friend. You're really going to have to turn it back on. I'm not saying that you're going to dwell on the conversations that are happening, but you're definitely going to have to listen for a short time, get an understanding from a reliable source. And if you're like me, you're going to come back to an application like ChatGPT and you're going to ask it, is this true? Like what is it saying that is going to happen? So we know that these are at least some primarily things that you should do in the beginning. If you haven't done it, I hope a lot of policymakers already are at least doing the auditing thing, right? That's like business 101. Stop, audit, and reinvent yourself. Then come up with what are your standards? What is going to be your merit base? How are you going to create a true merit base based on your work environment? Once again, not Mary Sue, not Joanne, but your work environment. If you are a self entrepreneur, then this becomes a little bit easier, but you still got to create standards for yourself. Why? Because you're going to lead by example. People need to see what it is that we're doing out here, right? Having conversations are great, but if you don't have folks that are showing individuals how to actually use and what it looks like, then all we're doing is want, 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 want. And that comes from Charlie Brown, y'all. If y'all don't know that I'm a Charlie Brown rock and roll person, yes, I am a 70s kid as well. You're going to ensure that you're following compliancy. You're going to make sure if they say, hey, Ariana, our president wants to see your records to make sure that what you're saying is true. Show me what it is and show me your new standard. Show me how you're marketing to the DOL apprenticeship folks. Show me. And I know that because I know the compliance and documentation. And documentation will save you the good, the bad, and the ugly. I've been in a situation, litigation situation in the medical industry where someone said that entity did not provide language services. But because of the documentation that was there, guess what? That person really was one of those that liked it to create a little turmoil here and there. So, documentation, you never know when you're going to need it. And then you're going to provide a support channel where your employees' voices and concerns they can feel like they're heard, that they're being heard. Yes, DEI, okay, whatever we're going to call it moving forward, no one knows, right? We just know right now it's saying, hey, we can't use these terms. It's no longer, we can't prioritize this folk for that folk. Okay, I get it. But we still need to acknowledge those team members that work there. What about those folks that are of a different culture but don't look like they're a different culture? Or what about those that look like are different cultures and you know in your heart that this has affected them and they're just not talking about it because they're that highly professional, right? Does not mean that you cannot have a talk luncheon, a lunch and learn, a training. We have to be able to train. Just like with any other change, this is a mind shift for everyone, regardless of where, if you're celebrating the change, or if you feel defeated, or if you feel like, dang, this one stung really, really freaking hard. And now I'm going to have to shake myself off and, put on my smile and keep on pushing. So, these are primarily a good starting point for any entrepreneur to start. And your audit doesn't have to, you don't have to hire a special, organization to come in and seek all of your documents. If you've been doing what you've been needing to do as an entrepreneur, keeping your files organized of all your clients, making sure that key cybersecurity things aren't being, published even via email, no first, last name, kind of situation on social security numbers, then you can do your own audit. I would want to make sure if I had a checklist of, all right, this is my new policy, this is my new link, this is my new application, boom, boom, boom. I'm going to do it innovative. I'm going to have computerized links and I'm going to utilize Google Forms or, a Google Drive, somewhere where I know that I don't have to continue to kill trees, first of all, but to make it efficient for everyone who might need to ask that question. Because what if you get in a situation and we move forward, because we got to move forward, right? I mean that we must move forward. Um, What do you do if you're in a bid and someone asks you, "Hey, can I see your hiring policy? Can I see your staff policy? What's your discrimination policy look like?" Are you going to be able to come up with them highly professional, not made up, and then you just put your logo because you cut and pasted your friends from your friend, or one who's had a successful 500 fortune company? No. So you got to be prepared. Auditing is your first step. Reflect. If you're not ready, that means you need to stop, reflect on everything that you've done till this point. Big, small, little, huge, gigantic, large, extra large. You need to know that that's you behind whatever it is your journey is. But at the end of the day, as an entrepreneur, we're going to have to audit. We're going to have to audit and we're going to have to adapt. Because for me, someone saying no, no is not an option, you guys. All right, let's move forward. Um, Give us some real solutions that small businesses can do to keep pushing forward. So, once again, I asked it, what can someone do to move forward? It's giving me the same basically answers. The revealing of the DEI initiative to align it, which is audit, the merit based recruitment. So, for all of you that have the power to hire, and this is came down your pipeline, which I was a professional headhunter somewhere in my 28 years of career world, it's something you need to think about, right? And so I know that I work with Frank, who is a big workforce guru out there, and he knows the difficulties that we're already had with recruiting before this. So if you are an innovator, a recruiter, one that thinks outside of the box, you're going to have one foot in the door if you can continue to get those applicants to continue to apply, because you don't see per se anything but maybe a resume or a prerequisite form that tells them your experience and things of that nature. So think outside of the box. We talked about fostering inclusion, and we need legal representation. That's great, but I want to know, I need some real ideas how a nonprofit uh, can keep providing services. Okay, so here's where the magic begins. Like, you can dig as deep as you need to. It's continue to tell you recent federal policy changes affected diversity and quality inclusion initiatives. Nonprofits must adapt and continue providing essential services. Here as here are actionable strategies to navigate this evolving landscape. So start thinking a little bit outside of the box, right? We know that that federal funding stopped. If you're working in diversity, equity, inclusion, we know that it stopped. Great. What are we going to do? We're going to engage in those individual donors that we hope have stood by our sides and say, hey, we got to shift a little bit. Maybe your dues now are not going to be 99.99. Maybe they're going to have to be 199, right? In order for us to keep going, in order for us to provide meals, after school programs, diapers, educational tutoring, counseling, whatever it is. And we need to be able to do that as business owners and entrepreneurs, to be able to shift our pricing, which a lot of us, when it comes to how much do you charge? Well, I just did it because my journey, my love. I know. I'm guilty of that. I probably 98 freaking percent of what AHA does is self-funded. It's community based. I get no kind of funding at all. The funding that we do get in is generated internally. So I am a company that is for business and is self-funded. So for me, having to adapt is a little bit different than someone having to be underneath the umbrella. But if you are in the nonprofit world, and if you've never been to a nonprofit, some kind of training or where everyone is sitting there with that high energy, go. Because if you don't go, you're not really going to know what's happening in our community. And just the empowerment and the energy that nonprofit folks bring from the time they walk into their meetings until the end will help you as a business owner, self-funded, collaborate with those nonprofits because those nonprofits need organizations like AHA, like United Way, like, any other organizations out there. They need people to help them make things happen, in particular, when you sit in a different level of funding, right? You explore founding grants. A lot of people don't realize that if you're an LLC, and you push forward, you need to go ahead and try as best as you can to apply as a SANS entity. That is our government portal where you go in and any kind of money the federal government is giving, anything that's grant related, is underneath that. Does this change the criteria of who is being funded or not? I can tell you that when I first started to apply for funding myself, there was definitely a line there. You can tell by the announcements that were coming out. It was only, state entities, economy agencies, bigger organizations, Department of Labor apprenticeship state departments. It was, the 500 Fortune companies. And then maybe about a year and a half ago, I started noticing that more state and government contracts were now being offered to more of the mid-size, the smaller organizations. And that was a shift that I seen going into last year. Now, what is going to happen in 2025? I don't know. Applying for a grant alone is not easy. You got to meet all these different criterias. And even if you meet the stage one, you're still in anticipation for stage two, and then waiting for the announcement stage three. And you're competing with people around the world that are doing amazing things. But I'm here to tell you it definitely can be done. Collaboration is the key in working in those government grants. You need to be open to collaborate with those that make you feel good, give you goosebumps when they talk and put out their ideas in the real world. Because if you don't go into any kind of grant funding or connecting with your donors and asking them for money, that thought or that idea of you making that change is going to make you lose sleep. It's not going to make you feel good. And you don't never want to go into any new adventure feeling bad about any decision. It's okay if when you make your decision, other people might not agree on how you're doing things. But as long as you know, what do they say? Keep your eyes on that prize, things will work out how they should be, then you cannot go wrong, right? And so you got to have emergency fundraisers. What is this? Nonprofit organizations usually have one or two major university universe fundraisers. People, they go out, sometimes they get creative, they put flyers, they wear t-shirts, they have call-a-thons, they come up with TikTok videos and they create a link. And every year that's how these organizations get funded. And so maybe you're only doing two because you felt like, oh, I feel pretty good. I got this. Nope, because we're not going to put our eggs in one basket. It's just simple as that. We're not. And if you are and you did, okay. Your egg has broken, guess what? Make scrambled eggs of it, put it on two pieces of toast with mayo, eat it, and keep on pushing. I mean, that's as simple as that. And being a leader, a fundraiser can look different from me creating an event where I have donations. Maybe that's my way of creating fundraisers. Maybe I'm playing around with, selling merch of all of our, merchant all of our images that we're creating versus, me just playing around with them versus someone else's fundraiser might be a huge gala where people dress up nice and fancy and have all those nice three-course meals or four or five or whatever it is that you so forth want to have. But being having a fundraiser is something that we have to be open to, and we're going to have to do it a little bit more frequently in order for us to be able to continue to push services. We're going to have to strengthen community partners, right? We all know we've got community partners out there that sometimes when it comes to collaboration, and I know I got people here who feel some kind of way when people say collaboration, they feel like it's all talk, 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 and we don't move forward. And when we meet them, it's like crickets, right? Crickets. Well, why are you going to continue to run to that person if you know it's crickets? They've already, per se, showed you what they are and how they are and what they want to do in their journey. The question is going to lie on you for collaboration. Do you want to collaborate with someone like that with your journey? And if you do, hey, kudos to you and rock it. But if you do not want to rock with them, does not mean that you're going to talk against them and you're not going to talk about all the negative things all the time. You're going to create a good collaboration, a collaboration that's going to work for this person and is going to work for that person. Because what did I say before? You got to go in the relationship feeling good. I mean, and it's not just a business thing. Take this information and transpose it into your personal lives as much as you can, right? I mean, you should be able not to have to change gears because I'm the business person ethically and I go into my life hat. Does that mean life I'm not ethical? No. That means that this person that you're seeing here is going to generally be the caregiver, the mom, the sister, the aunt, the grandma, the teacher, the mentor, the friend. I would hate to say your enemy, but I know that I'm not for everyone. And I know there's people out there that might not necessarily feel my vibe. And that's okay because as a business leader, that's one of my superhero skills that I listen above and beyond. So, what do they say? You can hate all you want to, but I'm not I've learned to not to listen to that. I've learned how to come and be a solution, someone who can bring people together and talk openly about what is happening in our universe and do good. And we're going to have to leverage those volunteer networks. We have in Northwest Arkansas a food bank that is amazing. Like they have a concept where you go into this building and you have a shopping cart and it's lined up like a grocery store with freezers, the bakery section, the canned goods, the freezer goods, and the fresh products. And based on your information that you put on this form, right, you go and you do your shopping. Well, them moving that far has blessed them to now have this huge building, state of the art, and they volunteer. They use their volunteers for leverage. They use them for those food bank lines that they locate themselves in a building or at a fairgrounds, and they're giving boxes of food to people, to all the way to organizing those after school snack bags that are giving out to every kid in elementary school goes home on the weekend or before a major holiday with a little goodie bag full of some kind of food to hopefully to get them by those days without them having to go to school. Because in that situation, volunteer is key. They don't pay their volunteers. A lot of organizations need to be partnered with organizations that can give maybe someone an ex-felon that's coming out of the system who's been, doing time for a long time and is trying to adjust into the environment. Part of their regulations or stipulations is that they work or they volunteer somewhere. Sometimes you have moms that just want to get away. Sometimes you have older folks that say they're retired but aren't retired. My hubby is one of those, fully retired with full benefits from the Walmart world as well. He's been diagnosed with a couple of really major illnesses, but you can't keep them down. You can't tell them no different. So, volunteering, there's always a niche for everyone. Maybe someone can help you check out of that. Maybe you need a young person to help you with your graphics, things of that nature. And it's all about word of mouth, because once you give someone an opportunity who might not think that they can do what it is you're telling them, do it and feel free to do what you need to do. You've created a bridge of empowerment. And once I feel you give that one person in that unit that super empowerment where their mindset has shifted and now they feel like no matter what happens, I can take it all on. What happens? That energy starts to trickle away from them. They start to kind of contaminate their siblings. Their mothers is like, "What are you talking about, son? No, I don't believe you." And then their dad is like, "Oh, he's not going to do it," or whatever the situation might be. But once you empower that one person in that unit, that internal unit is empowered. And the awesome thing about it is that community around that family begins to notice and becomes to empowerment. And everyone in that community begins to grow just because you've empowered one person to believe in them. And that is the power of volunteering by itself. We're not talking about pre apprentice, we're not talking about offering jobs. That's a simply empowerment story of how volunteer can change your dynamic, in particular in this time where things are changing. We don't want those people out there who are being let go and love and passionate about what they do. And let me repeat that, the ones that are passionate and love what they do, because business is business. Those people, we want to make sure that we're utilizing their superpowers. I'm sure a lot of them will move into becoming their own LLCs because they got a lot of knowledge. And there's a lot of people in this world that I know can use their master skills in creating all kinds of things that they've learned how to do prior to this change. You're going to have to invest in technology. You're going to hang out with people like me who talk about ChatGPT and what it can do, and show you that I'm not making up this information. This information is we pulled out from our world of information, of smart people that have put information in, of them pulling information from web, from Streamline, from different things like that. But you have to make sure, I always say, AI is not going to take your job, but someone who knows AI will. And when I say AI, I'm not talking about programming, because ChatGPT can program, do codes, it has another function as well. I mean, but in particular for business entrepreneurs, for this change, I feel like it has become a changing tool in the dynamic on how it is, and I'm moving forward and being able to continue to push, because my schedule hasn't changed, in the sense of my goal this year was I'm going to speak more openly about things that matter to me, which is the apprenticeship opportunity, the AI chat GPT, and language access. And I've been focusing on those. And surely enough, doors are opening. We are booking here, probably every other month as well. Only Lord knows how we're going to be able to travel and afford all these, because remember, we are a small business out here leading the way on our workforce initiative. And you're going to communicate in transparency like I am. There's no fluff here. I'm not imagining that these are things that we need to do. These are things that you're going to have those stakeholders. A lot of us rub elbows with those titles. I get it. I rub elbows with all kind of titles. We were honored at the White House last year at the end of the year, which was amazing. Like just to walk down those checkered hallways was moment. That was my aha moment and will always remain my number one. My goal then and my goal now is to get back to that White House so I can be able to speak transparent with everyone who wants to listen what is really happening out here as an entrepreneur, as a workforce trainer, as someone that sees transparency and is able to move throughout all of these government changes. Are these government changes easy? No, they are not easy at all. But we got to talk about the successes. and we just can't focus on, what is going to happen then and what is going to happen now. No, we got to, um talk about it. And I'm going to be transparent. Let's ask, what kind of companies will excel in these changes as a small LLC? And once again, here are the key strategies for a small LLC. We're going to remember, we're going to create that merit based policy. We're going to implement it clearly. We're going to design what we consider merit based hiring and promotion practices to ensure compliancy with anti discrimination laws while fostering a diverse workforce, because there's other policies out there, you guys. Don't forget that. If you're in HR, y'all got to get as innovative as I know you can. Sherm rock stars out there that I follow on LinkedIn, I need you guys to do your superpowers and give us a way for us to follow. I like to say I follow only the leaders. Sherm, you're my go to for HR. We want to see you come up with some kind of merit based policies that we can at least look at and design our own. You want to volunteer inclusion programs, offer optional training sessions, focus on cultural competency and anti discrimination to promote an exclusive workforce culture without mandating participation. So you're not going to mandate anyone and say, all right, we're going to have this cultural diversity today and it's going to be DUI. And if you don't come, guess what? You're going to get written up. No, we're not even going to go there. Why, y'all? Because we survived COVID. Don't forget, we're the world, the whole world that survived dang COVID. And if we can survive dang COVID, we surely can survive this governmental change as well. No one mandated us to do anything as well. I mean, there's people that never got vaccinated. No, they're talking about a whole nother COVID virus that's happening now, right? So you're never going to mandate anyone to do anything. We're grown. Everyone decided to work from home, stay at home, retire, be a superhero, whatever that decision is that you've decided, don't change it up now because things are getting harder. Please don't do that. If you follow me and I follow you, it's because you crossed my journey. I've seen a post, something that intrigued me, and that's why I follow you. And I hope that you guys follow me for the same way. You got to make sure that we include everyone. Never walk into the room and say, hey, you speak this language, you speak that language, you speak that language, and we're now going to separate everyone into what they see, hear, or they look like. Why? Why are you even going to do a business meeting? If you really want to have a true conversation, put the topic, write it on the board, and open discussion. And write the good, the bad, and the ugly, and then become positive and make sure that you are leading by example, as well. You're going to diverse your funding. We know about that. You're going to enhance your operational, invest in technology. You're going to continue learning, because learning is what it's about, right? I mean, you want to make sure that no matter what it is that you do in life, that you continue to be open minded, try it, and know that you don't have to be perfect. I am not for perfect. I am for sharing the good, the bad, and the ugly. And so I hope that this glimpse into some of the things that ChatGPT has told us as a small business owner, as a nonprofit, that will give you at least some ideas on where to go. If you need some help in creating and dreaming, from images to just a discussion, let me know. I am here to help you. And I hope that you guys have enjoyed this DEI and ChatGPT and how they can really work together in creating positive energy for all. because I don't want to walk into a room and feel negative energy 100 times fold. Like there has to be a point of time where, sugarcoat it, whatever it is that you got to do, fake the funk, whatever it is that you got to do. I'm not saying to put your feelings to the side. I validate everyone's feelings. I truly do from the bottom of my heart, from the good, the bad, and the ugly. But remember, this is your journey. Stay innovative. You want to learn a little bit more about ChatGPT? We are here to help you. But other than that, we are good to go. We appreciate you and we wish you the best of luck out here and stay strong, you guys. Thank you for watching.
Not all heroes wear capes. Some build careers, some change industries, some transform the future. AHA Workforce Education Solutions Superhero Squad Initiative. We don't just train, but we create opportunities. The world needs problem solvers, leaders, innovators. Are you ready to step up? The future is calling. Will you answer? Real skills, real impact, real superpowers, real superheroes. Not all heroes wear capes. Some build careers, some change industries, some transform the future. AHA Workforce Education Solutions Superhero Squad Initiative. We don't just train, but we create opportunities. The world needs problem solvers, leaders, innovators. Are you ready to step up? The future is calling. Will you answer? Real skills, real impact, real superpowers, real superheroes.